Hello and welcome to Andy's Shed Live. This is series 16, episode number 26 for Sunday the 23rd of February 2024. Hello there everybody. Welcome to the show for this Sunday the 23rd of Feb. Let's bear with me 1 second. That's alright, done that. Yeah, well, welcome to the show. We are here live and direct to you on this this Sunday evening. I do hope that you are all well. And it's the last in the present series today, and now the dog's barking to go out. Will I ever get a moment's peace? Go on then. The answer to that is no. Right, shall we try that again? As I say, welcome to the show for this Sunday the 23rd of February, and it is indeed the last in the present series of Andy's Shed Live. From everybody. There are various reasons we are finishing, but I just need a rest. I really need a rest. I am absolutely exhausted, worn out, really beyond tired. And to be quite honest, I haven't got 2 spare hours in a week to make this show at the moment. I just haven't got the time. So this is the last in the present series. There is going to be a special probably next week at 2:30 p.m. and then that's going to be it for a while I've got to recharge my batteries. I've got to go in hospital. Doctor thinks I've got a hernia and stuff like that, so I might have to go and have an operation in hospital and all this kind of business. So I'm going to be off for a few weeks basically, because and there's no content either. There is literally nothing to talk about. There's, we've done what can be done within the realms of the kind of stuff that we talk about. There is very little I can do in this tiny confined space. Just bear with me a sec. Are you back in? Right. Come on then now, stay in now then. That's it then now. You stop in now. Come on. Good boy. Good boy. You stay there. Go on. Go on. What? What now? Out again. Go on now. Go in and stop out. Come on. There. Oh, that's it then now. You're not going out again now. No, you're not going out again now. You go in there now. Go in there. Go on, good boy. Go on, look. Go on. Go on. Now you're wet through. Go on. Go on. I shouldn't even be picking your bloody food pot up. I'm shutting you out a minute, Thor, because I just need some peace a minute, alright? Right, sorry about that. Yeah, so basically, I'm worn out, I'm burnt out. That's the problem. Completely burnt out. I work continuously. I've not had a holiday in about 35 years. There's no help with anything. I'm totally alone in doing everything in life, absolutely everything. Now, those of you who are married and have got kids, imagine if you had to do everything that you do, everything that your wife does, and everything that your kids do for you, and you had to do all of it. And you're the only person that drives, and you had to do everything yourself. Imagine, and earn living. Imagine how you would cope with that. And that's what we have to do here. So you can see why basically we just haven't got. I just haven't got the energy. That's the thing. I've just got no energy. Neville says, when will the new series start? And Neville says, I've got another hernia. It must be catching, Neville. I'm hoping about a month, Neville. I'm hoping that my plan is to have what remains of February off, and we're nearly at the end of it now. Probably start back up towards the end of March time. Towards the end of March or very early April. That's when I'm planning to start by up. But we are going to be on next week, hopefully, because we've got a special next week where I am going to be going to see Andrew. Remember Welsh Andrew? With all the phones down in Wales. I went down once before and we recorded a sequence with him and played it out, and it was much enjoyed by everybody. So he's invited us back. So I'm going back out there probably next week. So there'll be a special on hopefully next week, next Sunday afternoon, starting around about 2:30. If you tune in from 2:30, you'll not miss it. It might be a little bit later than that, but I'm going to say 2:30 to you because I've got to get there. It's about 150, 200 miles to drive, do it and get back. So let's hope it works. Neville said, I'm totally sympathetic and have empathy for you and your situation. Hope everything improves for you. We'll look forward to seeing the new series. Yeah, no, I just need to recharge, mate. That's all it is. I just need to recharge. Like I say, I may end up having to go into the hospital to call me tea down me jumper. You didn't tell me that, did you? Yeah, I might have to go into the hospital and have an operation on this hernia, and that will put me totally out of action basically for at least a fortnight. Of course, you can't lift or do anything really. So that'll put me out of action probably for a fortnight. Don't know when that's going to happen though. I mean, we might have got a new series on in April before that happens, you know, state of the NHS and how long you have to wait for operations and stuff. So, so you never know. Wesley says, it sounds exactly like my problem. Yeah, it could be, Wesley. Maybe it's all of us. I think it's a sign we're getting older. I think that's what it is. I think it's that we're getting old. What they don't tell you, and it's absolutely true this, but what they don't tell you is the moment you get to age 50, your body starts to fall apart. You're okay till you get to 50, but it's like clockwork. On your 50th birthday, the moment you're 50, your body starts to fall apart. It really does. And and lots of people I've said this to say, yeah, it's exactly true that it is. But this is what they don't tell you. I think you should retire at 50. I think retirement age should be 50, because you can't, if you worked in manual work all your life, there's not much you can do by the time you're 50. Your body is physically worn out. I mean, we're doing the dog walking. People say to me, oh, that must keep you fit. You know something? It doesn't. It really, really doesn't. There's a 22-year-old girl who works with me. Well, she'll be 23 now, I think. Who works with me, doing the dog walking. And she's been in and out of the doctors for the last week with joints, bones and joints that pop out of place and that. because her body is so physically worn. You know, you know, she's worn out, literally worn out. Neville says my problems began in the early 30s. Oh, you're an early starter then, Neville. You got a head start on everybody else. Look at it that way. Look on the bright side. You had a head start. Neville says I had to wait 2 years to get the first hernia sorted, and less than a year later another appeared, or the same one. So waiting again. Yeah, it's just absolutely bonkers. It's absolutely, completely bonkers. I mean, don't even get me started about the NHS and Keir Starmer and what I think of the Labour Party and government in general and left-wing woke nonsense culture and that we live in these days, because I think it's, if I was Prime Minister, there would be a lot of things I'd do. First thing I'd do, I'd abolish the minimum wage so people could work for whatever they want to work for. I'd abolish the minimum wage because I think the minimum wage makes people greedy. It's now about £11 an hour, isn't it? Well, there are people doing jobs out there badly who are not worth £11 an hour. Simply not worth £11 an hour. Meanwhile, there are self-employed people like me that don't take a penny from the state, and I think my hourly rate, if you worked it out, what I actually get per hour, I bet it's only about £3 or £4 an hour. Neville says only this country abides to all this rubbish. Yeah, I think you're right, Neville. I think you're right. I'm applauding the United States at the minute because Donald Trump's coming in the United States. Now, prior to him being a president, I was not a fan of Donald Trump prior to him being a president of the United States. But first time around he got a lot done, and this time around he seems to be getting even more done. And he's not pandering to all the nonsense. And what I like about him, and Elon Musk similarly, they think outside the box. They don't continue in the way everything's been done before. They make their own decisions and go, right, I'm doing it this way. Don't care it's never been done like this before. This is how I'm doing it now. Get used to it. And that's what I like about him. That's what I really like about them. I wish them well. I think they're going to do well. I think they're good. And I think if we got Nigel Farage in charge of this country, we'd be far better off. Gambo's here. Hi Gambo. He says I feel your pain, Amby. I'm falling to bits and I'm only 52. I've got parts of my body that have preferred to leave me. I think my body's trying to tell me something. Yeah, I tell you, Gabbo, it's when you get to 50, mate, you fall apart. You literally do. Neville says, I'm a Trump fan, like Elon Musk, and admire Putin. Yeah, Putin's an interesting one. I never really thought much about Putin. What I will say, though, is I used to work with a girl when I worked for the Tramway Museum years and years ago. There was a girl in the office there, Cara, who had spent a long time in Russia. You know, she'd been over there on some sort of place. This is going back 20 odd years. But she'd spent a lot of time in Russia. I think she'd gone over there on some sort of work placement as a translator or something like that. And she said Russia was a great place. And it's only the Western perception of Russia that it's horrible and communism's horrible and all that. If you actually live amongst it, once you get used to some differences, you know, your life, your general day-to-day life, you know, in a lot of ways is better. And similarly, I knew somebody who went to China for a few months, and they said the same about China. They said, you hear all these horror stories about China, but they're horror stories that the Chinese people put around to stop everybody else going there. Yeah. But yeah, Yeah, I think it should be like Star Trek and the Prime Directive, and you don't interfere. If another country is running a different way, you know, you shouldn't be trying to make them run their country in the way you run yours. You should leave them alone, let them get on with it, respect what they want to do, don't get involved with their wars, don't get involved with their politics, keep your nose out unless they come harassing you. But otherwise, keep your nose out of it. Alright? Are you listening to this, Starmer? Alright? So, yeah. Just ain't broke, don't fix it. Leave stuff alone, is what I say. But yeah, but you go to Russia now. Why is Putin still in power in Russia? Oh, it's because he's a dictator. It's not. It's because if you ask the Russian people, they think he's fantastic. Because when they had Gorbachev and Glasnost and all this sort of thing, and the Berlin Wall came down and all that business, people in Russia suddenly, and in Eastern Europe in general, all of a sudden hadn't got two brass farthings to rub together because the prices of everything skyrocketed overnight. You know, and you know, there were people in East Germany saying they wanted the wall putting back up and stuff because they couldn't live with it down. So there's two sides to every story. But of course, when you listen to people like BBC News and Sky News and ITN and that, you only get told one side of the story. I mean, you don't get told about the war in Ukraine. You don't get told about the billions of cubic meters of gas that the Ukrainians stole out of the Nord Stream 1 pipeline. You don't get told about stuff like that. You don't get told about the BBC reporter who reported on September the 11th, 2001, that World Trade Center 7 had collapsed, when you could actually see World Trade Center 7 still standing intact behind her. And I could go on. I could talk about denotices. I could talk about stuff that nobody mentions. Remember the UFO that I showed you a few weeks ago that was behind Starship, that none of the YouTubers mentioned, that covered it? It was on all their feeds, it was on from every angle of their feeds. Nobody mentioned it. You know, and that's the world you live in. And you think, oh well, they do expose stuff, because I watch Blaze and they have these UFO programs on Blaze exposing stuff. They're censored, you know. What they're exposing on there, it's nonsense, you know. It's look at this hand so you don't see what this hand's doing. It's all stuff like that. Like the moon landings. I once saw a fascinating documentary about the moon landings, and it basically proved that they'd not been to the moon. It basically proved it. It said a load of things about it, but the thing that proved it for me, it said, here's a photo taken by NASA on this date in this location on the moon. Here's a photo taken by NASA on this date on this location on the moon. These locations were many miles apart, probably hundreds of miles apart, because of different places that the landers had landed on these different missions. And it showed these two different photos with the lunar landscape and the sort of hills in the background. And then they merged the two photos that were allegedly hundreds of miles apart, merged the two photos together, and all the hills in the background matched up. You tell me there's not something weird going on there. But that documentary appeared once on television. It's never, ever, ever, ever been on again. So what do we think happened to that, I wonder? Neville says, exactly, why waste our taxpayers' money? Because they're good at wasting money, Neville. That's what they do. That's what all politicians do. That's why you've now got a parliament in Scotland and a parliament in Wales and a useless parliament in Northern Ireland and another parliament in London, because, well, why not? Why not? Why should you only pay for one building full of idiots when you can pay for 4 buildings full of idiots? So, so yeah. Yes, I am against devolution because it costs more, because you have more idiots, and when you've got more idiots, there's more people who can throw stuff backwards and forwards, so you never get a straight answer. No, go and talk to them. Oh no, go and talk to them. No, go and talk to them. No, go and talk to them. And it's just a load of old nonsense, isn't it? It really is a load of old nonsense. And when it comes to voting and stuff like that, I really do not understand it. I don't think you should have a government in power for 4-5 years now. I think elections should be annual, at the very least annual, possibly even every 6 months. And you do it online. You vote for who you want to run the country, in the same way you vote for who wants to win the X Factor. And you have a regular vote, and if the people in charge are not listening to the population, they should be out on the rear straight away and somebody else brought in. And that's the way it should work, I think. But don't give them 5 years to screw things up. They can do a hell of a lot of damage in 5 years, as Starmer is already proving. But I've never ever come across a political party anywhere in the world that has so quickly pissed off such a huge proportion of the electorate as Starmer has, because he's upset everybody. He's upset the pensioners, he's upset the farmers, he's systematically upsetting everyone. And when people say, hey, we don't want you to do this, we think this is a bad idea and we elected you, it doesn't say, oh, well, sorry, being as you're the electorate and you're the British people, I will listen to the British people and I will alter my policy. It doesn't do that. It says, oh no, tough, I'm doing it anyway. So you tell me who the dictator is. Because I don't think it's Putin. So yeah, there you have it. That's what I think. That's what I think about it. Perhaps Guy Fawkes had the right idea. Alright, I'm just catching up with anything I might have missed in the chat. No, I don't think I have missed anything in the chat. It's short of people tonight. Where is everybody tonight? There's no Dominic, and there's no Christopher either. Yeah, maybe my political rant's putting people off, but there you go. That's that's it. I've got it up. I've got it up in my chest now. Sort of. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically what it's all about and what I think. But yeah, so we're taking a break basically. What started this off, this little thread that we've just gone down, is I'm taking a break for about a month just to recharge my batteries, reevaluate, and get us back on track again. And I'm hoping that in about a month's time we might be in a better situation for getting stuff done, getting stuff out there, and seeing what we can do a bit more, and that. And also, summer is gradually coming, isn't it? But remember, next week, all being well, I'm hoping Andrew's watching this. I know he watches. He doesn't appear in the chat, but I do know he watches. I don't know if he watches live or if he watches after. But Andrew, all being well, I'll be down to see you next week, but I will give you a ring either later or tomorrow or something. But yeah, hopefully I'll be there to see you next week. And if anybody's got any questions for Andrew or anything that you want to know, then get on next week, because there will be the chat and everything. We're going to do a live show just like this while we're down there, hopefully. provided the technology works. So we're hoping to do it all life while we're down there. Something similar to how we did Blackpool last summer. If you saw the Blackpool that we did last summer, the big day out in Blackpool, we're going to have a big day out in Wales instead. Just a bit worried how long it's going to take me to get there, because they've got this silly 20-mile-an-hour speed limit now in Wales, haven't they? Because we've got a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit in case there's children playing in the road. I've got a better idea. You know, why don't you teach parents not to let their children play in the road? Seems more sensible to me. But yeah, there you go. Right. If you like this old nonsense that we are coming out with here, we don't do Patreon anymore, because Patreon took a load of money and stuff off us. But we do Buy Me a Coffee, which you can find here at buymeacoffee.com/AndyShed, and you can put a couple of quid in the tip jar to buy me a cup of coffee there, because I don't drink expensive coffee. No, it's not Starbucks for me. It's more like, you've been to a Starbucks and they say, what sort of, say, I want a cup of coffee, and they say, what sort of coffee would you like, sir? Try and say Nescafe to them, they blow a gasket. Say what sort of coffee would you like, sir? Nescafe. They got absolutely bonkers, and they can't process it. You know, it does not compute. And that. I want to know what they do. You see, making a cup of coffee. This is a really good example of where the technology of the world has gone backwards, because 30 years ago you could go into a cafe, ask for a cup of coffee, and the woman in the cafe got a mug, got a spoon of coffee, put it in the mug, put it under a water geyser thing, and psh, there's your cup of coffee, would you like milk in it? Yeah? And it was there, and you got it in 10 seconds. Now, you go into a Starbucks or a Costa Coffee or somewhere like that, and you ask for a cup of coffee, and 10 minutes later you're still waiting for it. Well, they put this in it and that in it, and do you want sprinkles on it, and they've got all these levers and pipes and God knows what. You know something? And the coffee, when they've done that, tastes bloody horrible. So it's a perfect example of the world of tech going backwards. But everywhere you go now, there's a really pretentious coffee shop in there. Or there's often more than one. If it's not a Turkish barber's in the high street, it's a pretentious coffee shop. And what I think would go down well, and I wish I had the money to do it, I really do wish I had the money to do it, because I think it would go down really well, it's an old-fashioned transport cafe, where the menu is sausage and chips, egg and chips, beans on toast, maybe pie and mash if you're lucky. That's it. 4 mica tables, squeezy tomato sauce bottle, that no spoons, but that glass thing with sugar in, where you tip it upside down and it allegedly gives you 1 teaspoon of sugar. Transport cafe like that. Radio 1 on, very loud, playing Salter in the background, and that. Plastic chairs. you know how they were, the transport cafes. The last one I went to was in near Northampton, called the Super Sausage Cafe, and it was like a dinosaur when I went in there, and that's probably best part of 20 years ago now. But it was brilliant, and I bet it's not there now. I bet it's not there, or I bet it's been prettified or something. But yeah, I'd love to open a proper greasy spoon transport calf that just did like burger and chips, sausage and chips, bacon butty, and all them things that you're not supposed to eat really. That and was cheap, you know, was dirt cheap because they buy it all in bulk. I think it'd go down a storm. I think it'd go down a storm. A, because it's cheap, and B, because people would go in for the experience as well. They'd go in for the experience of being like insulted and that by the. Yeah. What do you want? What sauce with that? No, not made of money. People would definitely go in, wouldn't they, just to experience it. I think it's a brilliant idea. I want to do it. I want to do it. Yeah, I think it'd be good. What do you think? Transport cafe. Are there any still out there anyway? Are there any proper transport cafes? One thing we didn't do while we were in Blackpool, I would like to have done it, but we just didn't get a chance because we didn't go to that part of town. I would like to have gone to Chris Higgett's £1 burger bar, because he can still sell beef burgers in Blackpool for £1. And he's on YouTube. Look for Chris. I think it's called Chris Higgett YouTube Virgin or something. But yeah, just type into YouTube Chris Higgett £1 burgers in Blackpool, and you'll find him. He's a proper Blackpool character. I'd like to say he's been there forever, but I don't think he has. I think he's relatively new on the scene, sort of in the last 10 years or so. But it's really good. He's a really good businessman. He's a really nice guy, and he's a funny bloke as well. He does his videos in a entertaining way, and yeah, if you happen to be in Blackpool, go and look for Chris Higgett and the famous £1 burger, and you will not be disappointed, because it's just brilliant. Not on the prom. It's down at one of the side streets. Because you'd never be able to afford to have a shop on the prom, but it's down one of the side streets round the back where a lot of the best shops are actually in Blackpool. But yeah, go find him if you happen to be in town. It's just that we didn't get a chance to, because when we were there in the summer, we were kind of on North Shore to Central, and he's sort of between Central and South. So we didn't actually get that far, but yeah, it would have been nice to go and see him. Michael T is here. Hello, Michael. He says, I haven't been able to chat for a while. Been very busy here. Got a new cat in my life. 7 months old now. Have to set up CNET again. Yeah, you see, Michael, I don't know if you caught the beginning of the show, but I was saying that I don't have any time these days, and we're going to be going off for about a month while I basically get my life in order. This is the good thing, CNET. This is a good example of me saying I'm going to do things and never getting around to them. I've got the server sat up here. It just needs rebooting, and it's been sat there for months. And I just need to have a look at it and put a screen on it and reboot it. But I do need to get that done. So maybe in this month or so that we're going to have off, maybe I'll get that done. Let's hope. Yeah, let's hope. I would also like a holiday. I've decided I'd like a holiday, but God knows how I'd be able to fit a holiday in. I don't think that's going to happen. One step at a time. Yeah, so yeah. But nice to see you, Michael. Nice to see you back on here. And that. Nice to see the chat still working, because I thought it was frozen there for a minute. And that. What's happening in the world of telephones? Not a great lot, to be honest with you. I've been fixing everybody else's stuff over the last few weeks. I've mended 1.5 Porter Studios over the last couple of weeks. For those of you who don't know what a Porter Studio is, it's allegedly a semi-professional, like, mixer cum tape deck thing all rolled into one, and you can mix like 4 tracks of audio onto one cassette tape. Quite good when they're working, but when they're not working, to actually take one apart and get at the insides of it to work on it, they're an absolute nightmare. And I did one for somebody a couple of weeks ago, and I was so impressed by it that it popped up again and brought another one in for me to have. So I've done 2 of them. Or I've done 1.5 at the minute because the second one's waiting for parts now. In the last couple of weeks, done that with our friends at Rate Repair in Sheffield, Gareth and the team there. Hello to everybody at Rate Repair in Sheffield, which is it's a bit like the repair shop on the telly, but they charge, you can take your stuff in and they charge you a little bit of money to have it fixed, basically, and you can take pretty much anything in, more or less. But yeah, it's called Rate Repair, R-E-Y-T Repair. Rate as in that'll be rate, you know, like how they talk in Sheffield. Rate Repair, R-E-Y-T Repair. If you Google it, you'll find them in Sheffield. It's run by a guy called Gareth, and there's a team of sort of volunteer fixers who go in and fix stuff, and then he buys them lunch for fixing stuff. So what I do is, on a Friday, I tend to go over there, you see, and get me free lunch in return for, like, putting a new fuse in a plug or something. So it was a bit more involved than that, but yeah. And they're always looking for new volunteer fixers as well, so if you feel you can do something for them, like I say, Google it, Rate Repair, and you'll find all the contact details and stuff. So yeah, we've been mending Porter Studios and that in the last couple of weeks. Also, what's happened in the last couple of weeks is a family member, an aunt of mine, has ended up in a care home because she's basically too old and doddery to look after herself now, and this means that we've had to go and clear a house out because the house needs to be sold and stuff. So we've been going and doing that, and I've been rediscovering stuff that I last saw when I was about age 10 in her house. And one of the things that we've recovered, and this is a brilliant thing, and I might do a YouTube video on it, is a record player. And we were talking a bit about this last week, and we thought it might be a Victrola record player. Turns out it's not a Victrola, it's a different name that escapes me, something beginning with a C. But it's not a Victrola, but I'm wondering if it's a Victrola built under license, because it's exactly the same with a handle in the side and you wind it up, and just with a bit of oil basically we got it working within sort of 10 minutes of me first touching it and having a look at it to get it working. I'd oiled it up and it sprung into life. I only play 78s though, so, but I have got a lot of 78s, some of which have come with it and some of which I got before, because when I used to go to the auctions years ago, it was sort of pre-COVID happening, when I used to go to the auctions, you'd buy a lot at the auctions. You used to go to these general sale things that they had. There was stuff from house clearances basically, and there'd be a lot with a phone in. You know, there'd be a cardboard box that was a lot at the auction, and it would be full of stuff, and there might be a phone or a couple of old telephones in it. So to get the phone, you had to buy the lot, and in the lot would invariably be quite a lot of records, some of which were 78. So I've got tons and tons of records and tons of 78s. Dominic is here. Hi Dominic, says hi Andy, I just got back from a film about the photographer Martin Parr in the local cinema. A film about a photographer. Oh, right. Very good. Very good. Your ears will have been burning, Dominic. We've been on about when we went to Blackpool and stuff earlier. But good to see you all. I can hear Thor barking. Can you hear him? What's he barking at? I better go and see what he's barking at. Just bear with me one moment. What's up? What's up, doggy? No. No? Oh yeah. Focus. You're barking at mushrooms now. Are you barking at mushrooms? You don't want to go out, surely. Do you want to go out? Go on then. Go on then if you want to go out. Push where you want to come in. I'm back. Not doing very well today, am I? Not doing very well. No. Oh, he's back. Right, you just went out and now you've come in. Do you want to see him? There's his Thor, come here. Thor, back here, look. Thor, are you going to appear? Thor, come here. Come on, back here, look. Thor, come on, turn around and come back. Walk backwards. Reverse so we can get you on camera. No, not going to, are you? Not going to. No, says Thor, I'm not going to. No, we might see you anyway, Thor. Off there, he's down here. He's there he goes. He's camera shy. I should to move that, should I? I'll never get back in that place now. No. It needs to go around there a bit like that. Oh, no, it's too high. This camera doesn't sit where you actually want it, that's the problem with it. It's near enough. It'll have to do. Where have you gone now? Come on, let's have you eat. Come on. Thor, come on. Come on, let's have you in. You're only out there looking for stuff to chew. Come on. Thor. Come on. Good boy, that's it. Good boy. Good boy. You stay in a bit now, I'll have a biscuit in a bit. You stay there now, good boy. Right, we'll try that again, shall we? Oh, Fat Hobbit's here as well. Hello, Fat Hobbit. He says, "Hi Andy, sorry I'm late. Just been to the cinema to see about a famous photographer." What? Have I had Groundhog Day or something? Dominic says, "Hi Andy, just got back from a film about a photographer, Martin Parr, in the local cinema." Fat Hobbit says, "Hello Andy, hi all. Sorry I'm late, I just got back from a cinema to see a film about a famous photographer, Martin Parr." Dominic and Fat Hobbit, were you in the same cinema? He took lots of photos in Blackpool, says Dominic. Which cinema at Dominic Meekin? I bet you two were sat in the same cinema at the same time. Do you know each other? Have you ever met? What a coincidence, says Dominic. Which cinema were you sat in? Which cinema were you both in? That'd be hilarious if you were both independently in the same cinema. I'm just waiting for the chat to update now. I'm fascinated by this. Dominic was in Cambridge at the Art Picture House, and Fat Hobbit was at Norwich Picture House. See, we're actually far apart. One of you was in Cambridge and one of you was in Norwich. So you you were in the same part of the world, sort of, ish. Gambo says, is Fat Hobbit and Dominic the same person? Not sure, Gambo. I've never actually met Fat Hobbit. Of course, we have met Dominic, as you know, Gambo, because you met him as well. But but I don't think we've ever actually seen Fat Hobbit in person. So I don't know. Fat Hobbit says, wow, what happened there? I've got no idea. No. Well, is this film out on general release or something then? It'd be even more amazing if you say, no, it's not in general release, it's just in my local cinema. Is it? Has this film got a name? Let's give it a plug. What's this film called? This film about, what's his name? Was it Martin Parr? Martin Parr. I'm going to Google him because I have to say I've never heard of him, so I'm going to Google him. Let's see who he is. Martin Parr. Martin Parr, CBE, was born on the 23rd of May 1952, and he's a British documentary photographer, photojournalist and photo book collector. He is known for his photographic projects that take an intimate, satirical and anthropological look at aspects of modern life, in particular documenting the social classes of England and more broadly the wealth of the Western world. Don't know what he's doing taking photographs of wealth in Blackpool. You're not finding much wealth in Blackpool, Marty. Apparently went to Manchester Polytechnic. Yeah. Film and television. There you go. Apparently in 2014 he created Turkey and Tinsel, a 60-minute deadpan and often hilarious observational video documentary about faux Christmas in small town England. Yeah, I bet that is funny. Anything about Christmas is normally funny. Yeah. Right, there you go then. Fat Hobbit says this film is on at a number of cinemas. Right. Oh. There you go then. There you go. Can't remember the last time I went to a cinema to see a film. It was certainly before COVID happened. I can't remember. I did a really strange thing once in a cinema. There is... I don't know if I should apologise to this person or not, but they took the joke in really good humour. I once went to a cinema on Boxing Day. It was a cinema in Chesterfield. It's still there, Cineworld in Chesterfield, and it hadn't been long built at the time. And there was a Robin Williams film out, and I can't remember what the film was called, but it wasn't a comedy. It was a bit of a strange film. It was all like in dream sequence and things, and it was like a painting. It was like an impressionist painting. They'd done something to make him in like this impressionist painting world. Must have been very heavily green screened and that, the making of it. But I went to see this film. I thought from I'd seen the trailer of the film. I thought this film looks impressive. So I went to see it, and I went on Boxing Day to see this film. And it was daytime on Boxing Day. It was like lunchtime sort of thing on Boxing Day. And this was one of those cinemas with very steeply raked seats. You come out through a tunnel, like coming out into Wembley Stadium, and then turn round and go up steps into the seas. And it was in one of the biggest screens in the cinema, because the cinema's got about 8 or 10 screens, and it was in one of the biggest screens in the cinema, because it was a newly released film. And I think that was probably the first showing of it, because films used to come out on Boxing Day, didn't they? So it was about lunchtime on Boxing Day, and I bought the ticket to see this film. Went through this tunnel thing, the screen in front of me, a massive screen. Turned around, and as my eyes adjusted to the darkness, I realised there was only one other person sat in the entire cinema, and it was a young girl sat right in the very back row, in the middle of the very back row. And I didn't even think about it. If I thought about it, I would never have dared do it. But I just walked up the steps right the way to the top, went across, went up to her and said, "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" and sat down at the side of her. And there was like 800 or something seats to choose from. But we sat there and watched the film. It was very good. So if that was you, let us know. I'd go to the cinema again. In fact, if that was you, I'll buy you a ticket to go to the cinema again. Because it was, yeah. Well, every now and again, you do something daft without thinking about it. You just do it. There's a little voice inside that takes over and says, "You ought to do that because it'll be funny." and that's what happened. But it's a few years ago. I can't, what was the film called? There's something within. Was it? I don't know. It was a Robin Williams film anyway. Gambo says, relating to the thing about is Fat Hobbit and Dominic the same person. Gambo says, maybe we can see about a rose gallery of what we look like with our phones or interests we have of who is who until the live stream in Blackpool, everyone thought I'd be taller and thinner. Did they? I don't know, Gabbo. I had no idea what you were going to be like, to be honest with you. I had no idea at all. And I knew what Dominic looked like, so of course I met Dominic before, because we did the Escape the Shed on the railway on that big bridge. So I knew Dominic from before. Keith is with us. Hi Keith. He says, "Hi Andy, a bit late to the show this evening." It's alright Keith, you'll be able to watch it back on catch up. Now, you've not missed much. I've been ranting on about politics and how I changed the world and a million and one things you can do with a microwave and Keir Starmer, none of which will be edible. Yeah. But yeah. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Keir Starmer. All them people voted for him, but now nobody will admit to it. Have you noticed that? Keith says, my brother did the same thing as you by sitting next to a man in an empty carriage on a train. The man told him to F off. Now, I can't remember who told me this. I wish I could remember who. I think, oh, what was his name? Johnny Vaughan. I think it may be Johnny Vaughan who said this. No, he used to present the Big Breakfast. When you're on a train, and you're on a train on your own, and you sit down, the worst thing that can happen when you're on a train on your own is somebody obnoxious comes and sits at the side of you. It's the worst thing that can happen, isn't it? Particularly if it's going to be a long journey. How can you stop that from happening? Well, here's what Johnny Vaughan said to do. He said, sit there, he said, in the window seat. He said, don't sit in the aisle, sit in the window seat, leave the aisle seat free. Let it be known that that seat is free. Yeah. And as said person who you were worried about approaches up the gangway of the train, as they approach, make eye contact with them, smile at them, and pat the seat gently. He said, I guarantee they will not sit there, and it does work. I've tried it. Yeah, he said, make eye contact with them, smile sweetly, and pat the seat gently as you do it. They will not sit there, and it's absolutely 100% true. Try it, it's fun. Bill says, good evening Andy and all, Bills is here. Is it worth travelling up to see Blackpool trams? I'm from Surrey. No, at the moment it's not, Bills, because they're not running. All the heritage trams have been withdrawn for some reason. It happened about late November, early December time. They were all suddenly withdrawn from service, and everybody who'd got a booking, including a couple who were hiring one to get married, all got the money refunded. At least I hope they got the money refunded. Yeah, they're not running. I've heard the latest news is they are hoping to be back running maybe by the Illuminations. Maybe by the Illuminations. Bill says, thanks for the tip, Andy. I'll try that train seat tip. It does work, Bills. It does definitely work. That does. What I've not figured out is how to get the person to sit next to you who you want to sit next to you. Although that did happen to me as well once. Yes. 2 girls, a bottle of champagne, and the first class compartment of a virgin vomiter. Yeah, to ourselves. Don't quite know how we managed that, really. Dominic says, I saw a couple of route masters earlier today. Route masters being buses for those who don't know. Where on earth are you, Dominic? Can't be many route masters about these days, unless they were doing a wedding or something like that. Are you in Cambridge? Nobody's operating route masters around Cambridge, are they? Not that I know of. Bill says, I don't want Blackpool if there will be lots of transvestites. Lol. Yeah, I don't think there are really. I don't think that's a major concern when you visit Blackpool. No, I don't think that's a. I don't think that's a major issue in Blackpool. Lots of people who drunk too much, but yeah, not women dressed as men and vice versa. I don't think that's a massive problem in Blackpool. It's not become a known Blackpool issue yet. That, give it time, it might. Bill says a lot of places do heritage routes with route masters. Do they? I know they used to, but I didn't think they did anymore. I thought it had sort of fallen out of fashion and stuff. We like a good route master. I've driven a route master. I've driven a route master coach. Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah. The best one I've ever seen driving a route master is Sidney Holloway, that does that Secrets of the Underground program on yesterday. Is it on yesterday? On Freeview. Yeah, Sidney Holloway that presents that. She had to go driving a route master once. There were 3 or 4 people from the London Transport Museum who went to this guy who'd got a route master to all have a go, because none of them had ever driven a route master before. In fact, I don't think any of them had ever driven a bus before, let alone a route master. And they all went and had a go, and of course little blonde Sidney gets in it, and nobody thinks Sidney's going to be able to do it, and it turns out she's the best of any of them. She just starts it up and drives it off. Yeah, but they are nice to drive, route masters. They are quite easy to drive if you fit in the cab. It is helpful not to be big to drive a route master. Fat Hobbit says, I was at a wedding once where they hired 2 route masters to take people to the reception. It was a real trip down memory lane. Yeah, I think people, they do sound for weddings and things. I occasionally see one with like wedding ribbons on it and stuff. A lot of people had them at one point, but as with all these things, when they come out of service, a lot of people get them and think they're going to operate them, and unfortunately some of them fall by the wayside. So gradually the numbers decrease. But it's nice to know there are still some of them out there. There is a YouTuber who does it, a guy called Pete and his Bus on YouTube, and he's got 2 or 3 route masters, and he makes very good YouTube videos, far better than me, far more entertaining than my old nonsense. But Pete and his Bus, it's called, if you want to look him up. Yeah. But he has them generally. Not passenger carrying. He generally has them for like bars at venues. He's got one that's converted to a mobile bar and stuff like that, and hospitality units and things. Bill says, I think if on the buses with the route master, Luxton Bus Company. Yeah, on the Dominic says 20 years this year, I think. TfL stopped route masters in normal service. Yeah, I think you're probably right, Dominic, and replaced them with them bendy buses, which have now been replaced themselves. Bill says, I hope they mark the 20 years. Yeah. Unbelievably good buses, route masters. They don't rot or anything. They're really good. You find one that's been stood out in a field for like 10 years and it's still as good as the day it came out of the factory. They're amazing machines. They really are. Yeah, very, very good. Nice to drive as well. Yeah, really easy to drive and stuff. And yeah. They don't get much better than the route master. I wonder what would have happened had the rear engine route master been allowed to go into production. Fat Hobbit says, why is Thor barking? Is he trying to tell you he voted for Keir? No, Thor's not that stupid. No, I think he's barking because he's watching the telly and he's probably seen a dog or a meerkat on the television. You know when the meerkats get on the adverts? Simples! Yeah, Thor likes the meerkats. Bill says lots of electric buses have problems. Do they indeed, Bill? What are their problems? Do tell. Look, I'm interested because within the last few weeks, certainly within the last month, all the buses that operate between Chesterfield and Bolsover have been swapped over to electric ones, built in China. And a couple of months before they swapped to electric buses, they altered the routes and cut little bits out of the routes. So where they used to go around housing estates and things, they don't go so far into the housing estate anymore. You know, they cut little bits off the route, and I think they've cut little bits off the route because had they not cut those little bits off, these electric buses wouldn't be able to get round the route on a charge. That's my suspicion. But they cunningly cut the bit off the route a few months before they introduced the electric buses. But I know what they're up to, Stagecoach. Bill says Stan used to always fish and chips on the engine of a route master on the buses. No, he didn't, Bills. Look at it again. I think you'll find it wasn't a route master. Yeah, as far as I'm aware, no route master ever appeared on the buses. They were generally Bristol low-deckers on the buses most of the time, and often they were green, not red, as well. Bill says parts of the batteries are a problem for the electric buses. You don't say. Yeah. So our new electric buses in Chesterfield is absolutely bonkers. I think there's 60 odd of these electric buses that have come into Chesterfield in a fleet of about 120 vehicles. All of a sudden, they've withdrawn about 2/3 of them. Yeah, they've done between a half and 2/3 of the buses in Chesterfield. They've suddenly switched to electric buses. They didn't think, oh, let's get one electric bus and try it and see if it works, and then if it works we'll get some more. No, they've withdrawn about half to 2/3 of the fleet and gone full on for electric buses. £31 million it's cost them. Right, well, it's actually cost us, because a lot of the money's come from the UK government. So even if you don't ride on a bus, you've paid for them. Yeah, so let's see what the lifespan is. Because as we all know, lithium-ion batteries have a lifespan of a number of charges, which in a car equates to 10 years, but you don't use your car every day, do you? Your bus you do use every day, so it'll be charged up every night. So I reckon a lithium-ion battery in a bus will probably have a lifespan of about 5 years. Now, they normally keep a bus for about 10-15 years and then sell it to one of the smaller operators. Do you think one of the smaller operators is going to want to buy an electric bus with a knackered battery? I don't think they are. So there'll be some very cheap electric buses. Gambo says it was a Lodika. Yeah, it was Lodica. A low decker is basically what the play on words was for the Bristol Lodica. That's what was generally in on the buses, and it was actually filmed in Boreham Wood, where I used to go quite often to Elstree Studios, and bits of it were actually filmed in Elstree Studios, but they were filmed in the bus depot was in the bit of Elstree Studios that got knocked down and is now under Tesco's in Boreham Wood. So that if you go to Boreham Wood and look for where the On the Buses depot was, it was actually the outside of a soundstage is what the depot was, and it was in the knocked down bit that is now under Tesco's. And if you go to the other end of the sort of high street, Shenny Road in Boreham Wood, down by the station, opposite the station there's a big new block of apartments. There previously there was one of those gasometer things, and that was the gasworks where they always used to go. You know, when the bus turned round at the gasworks, that was there. Bill says I'll have to read up on the buses. Definitely in the films it is. It's not a route master, Bill. I'm pretty sure it's not a route master. In the films, it's various things in the films, because they wrecked quite a few, unfortunately, in the films. But I think there was an Atlantean involved in the films as well, painted like a Union Jack. Dominic says, when I start driving, I would like to visit the Santoff Trolleybus Museum. Yeah, it's a decent day out, that, Dominic. I've been a couple of times. Very difficult to get to by public transport. When they have a big event on, I think they run vintage buses out to the big event from Doncaster Railway Station, I think, or Doncaster Bus Station. So if they have a big event on in the summer, I think you'll find the vintage bus service take you out there. Neville says, I've been there. I think he's referring to Boreham Wood. He says, I've been there, and across the road is a tower block used in A Clockwork Orange. Is there? At the other end of the street is a tower block used in The Shining. Ask yourself where the tower block is in The Shining. What's up, Thor? What's up? You want to come in? Yeah? You come in, say hello. Are you? Right. Yeah, it's a tower block used in The Shining. I'll tell you where it is. If you... What? What are you barking for? Eh? What are you barking for? What's up? What do you want? What do you want? He's looking at me now. He wants something, but I've got no idea what. What do you want, eh? What do you want? What do you want? You alright now then? You alright? Just bear with me a minute, you want something. What do you want? Eh? What's up? What's up? Eh? What's up with you? What's up? Eh? What? Go on then. You want to go out again? There's something wrong. Go on then. Oh, they settled down right now. You're back in. You're back in now then. Good. Alright. Settle down now then. Settle down. Good boy. Settle down. Yeah, sorry, the tower block in The Shining is opposite Elstree Studios. Elstree Film and Television. The opposite side of Shenny Road is a big tower block. And that tower block was used in The Shining. What it was used, it was the top-down shot in the maze when you're looking down into the maze, when there's the model of the maze in the Overlook Hotel, and then there's a shot down onto the model, and there's the kid and his mum walking around the maze in the model. That was actually a matte shot, and it was a model, but shot of the model, but it was done using a matte, and they had to get a top-down shot of the two actors walking around. And the way they did it, they went across Shenny Road and took a camera up to the top of the tower block, poked it over the edge of the tower block pointing downwards, and had the actors walking about on the tarmac down below, and that's how they got the matte for that top-down shot in of the maze in The Shining. Dominic says The Shining uses some music that was also in the Doctor Who story The Web of Fear. Does it really? I didn't know that. I had no idea. Arthur says they were Bristol buses and on the buses. Yeah, I think you're right, Arthur. He says they were painted green for the show. They were previously red. Right. Didn't know that. Bill says this afternoon I went out taking photos of old telephone exchanges for my GPO Instagram page. Cool. Excellent. Arthur says I've got a GPO exchange building around the corner from me, Bills. Arthur says Olive. Oh, Arthur, says Bills. We're into the realms of on the buses now. Yeah. And also, I can't really remember On the Bus as a series. I remember the films, but I don't really remember the series. I don't think I must have watched the series. I must have not watched the series. But I remember other things that are sort of contemporary to it, like George and Mildred, for instance, and Robin's Nest, and all them sort of things. But I don't really remember On the Bus as a series. I've seen a couple of the episodes, but I don't really remember them going out. Yeah. Those were the days. He's barking at the telly again. Shut him out a minute. Yeah. Yeah. I've said this before about Boreham Wood and Elstree. Well, it's not Elstree actually, it is Boreham Wood. Elstree Studios is not in Elstree. Elstree Studios is in Boreham Wood. It's a complicated story, but yeah, if you go to Elstree, you won't find much of anything at Elstree. About half a dozen houses, and that's it. But Elstree Studios are actually in Boreham Wood, as is BBC Elstree, where they make EastEnders, which is also in Boreham Wood, but is not actually Elstree Studios. That is the BBC Elstree Centre now. What used to be ATV's Elstree Studios, because although ATV was the Midlands franchise of independent television, for some weird reason that nobody can fathom, they had some studios in Boreham Wood, which is where things like The Muppet Show were made. Neville and Bill say they've got the box sets of On the Buses and of the films. So has Arthur. Arthur says, I collect British comedies. Do you not like to laugh then, Arthur? The thing about British comedies is, a lot of the time, I mean, there's certainly exceptions, like Dad's Army and that, but a lot of the time, British comedy struggles to be funny, doesn't it? A lot of the time. If you look back and think how many failed British comedy shows there have been a lot. A lot. Bill says, did anyone watch EastEnders 40 years? I watched a bit of EastEnders where they blew the Queen Vic up. That was quite clever how they did that. Yeah. Apparently the guy who did it, he said this is about the third or fourth time I've blown this Queen Vic up, he said. The special effects guy who did it. Well, it's not actually, because that Queen Vic's a new Queen Vic. Because Albert Square is literally not what it used to be. Yeah, there is a story about. Maybe I can show you this actually on Google Maps. Maybe I can show you. Let me see if I can show you. Right. Right. Right, I can show you. Right, if I can get this up on it here, I'll show you something that you didn't know about EastEnders. This is a well-kept secret, this. Right, bear with me one moment. Right. Let's see if I can do this. Right, here now, and I'm hoping this will move when I move it. Here now is the BBC Elstree Centre. Yeah, this is in Boreham Wood. Now, when I say it's not in Elstree, that's because Elstree's here. This is Elstree here, and this is Boreham Wood. Right? And as you can see, Elstree is a little place in the middle of nowhere, and this is Boreham Wood, and this is the railway station. This is Elstree and Boreham Wood station. The gas works from on the buses, right? Right, let's now zoom in on the BBC Elstree Centre. Right, here we are now. This here is Elstree Film and Television. The Big Brother house used to stand about here. Right? Originally, everything in this square was Elstree Studios, but they chopped it down here and sold this bit to Tesco's, who built this supermarket on it, and somewhere here was the depot for on the buses. It's now underneath there somewhere. Right, across the main road here, which is Shenley Road, is the BBC Elstree Centre. Right, this big conglomeration of buildings here is the BBC Elstree Centre. Yeah, and here used to be the car park for the BBC Elstree Centre, and after it had been the car park for the BBC Elstree Centre, it became the building. This was before the BBC owned it. This is when it was under ATV control. Remember, ATV being part of ITV. They used this car park as the building site for Ovida St. Pet. You remember Ovida St. Pet in the early 1980s? With Jimmy Nail and Kevin Waitley and one or two others. Well, that building site in Germany, or wherever it was supposed to be, was here. Right here. Then in about 83-84ish, the BBC took over the studios and built this, which is the original set for Albert Square. So you can't really see from this, but this is the Queen Vic here. No, sorry, this is the Queen Vic here on this side. This is the Queen Vic, and this is Bridge Street, and here's the bridge that the trains go over, and you can see it's literally a bridge to nowhere at either side. And that, but you could go under this bridge, and there were sets on this side. I think Ian's Caff is somewhere on this side here. But yeah, that is the original Albert Square. Yeah. Now, a few years ago, they realised this set was falling down because they never really made it in a way that was supposed to last a long time. Don't think they thought EastEnders was going to still be on 40 years later. So a few years ago, because the set was falling down, and also because they were moving to high definition, and they thought you'd be able to see the sort of cardboard and sticky tape holding these buildings together on high definition, they decided to build a new Albert Square. But when they went to build a new Albert Square, they had to do it while they were still using the old one. So they couldn't build it in the same place. They couldn't knock it down and rebuild it. So they had to build a completely new one and then just swap over one day. So, round to the side of BBC Elstree is another Albert Square. And here's the Queen Vic on this one. See, there's the Central Gardens again. And this is the car lot up here, I think. So to the left of the Queen Vic now. What you may have noticed is they're different. So your original one, if you come out the doors of the Queen Vic and turn right, you get there and there's just trees in the corner. If you come out the doors of the Queen Vic and turn right on this one, there's different trees in the corner. But then go down one more side of the square and there's the car lot there. Do it on the original one. And there, one more side of the square, and there's the original car lot there. Yeah? But if I zoom out a bit and try and get them both in the shot at once, can you see what they've done? They've rotated it by 90 degrees. See the central gardens there? Go that way. And on the new set, they go that way. So they've rotated the whole set by 90 degrees. And it's a bigger set now as well, because on the new version, you go under the bridge, and then there's like another street round the back of here, and then there's another bridge that goes to nowhere there. This is the new EastEnders high definition set, and you can see some buildings here that are fake buildings that with no roof on, that are just frontages, but they rotated it round by 90 degrees, and what that means is now the sun rises and sets in a completely different place in Albert Square to where it used to. So, because they've rotated it 90 degrees. Don't know if they had to do that to fit it in. But one of the interesting things about it now is if you follow Bridge Street out of Albert Square, this is where it goes down Market side of Bridge Street, and it goes on to the new set, the set extension here. But if you go t'other way now, down Bridge Street this way, Bridge Street actually goes out into real houses. This is the EastEnders set here. These are real houses in Boreham Wood, and they were always close. But they were never quite this close. If you look at the original set, there's your original set with the houses. These are real houses around here, but this set was kind of screened because there was these trees that you see here and that were big, and this fence here was big. But the new set, where is it? I've lost it. There. You know, you have got houses and things quite close to it, and this is Bridge Street. This is a real. So let's say Bridge Street on EastEnders. A little bit of Bridge Street does actually exist in, and my guess is, if we put that into Google Street View, my guess is, yeah, you see, there's a gate across it, but that is Bridge Street on EastEnders, going off of Clarendon Road in Boreham Wood. So this is the real. This is the real Boreham Wood, and the real houses. And then you go down there and you go through that gate, and they are the backs of the houses on the EastEnders set there. So how cool would it be to live there if you face that way? Because you'd be able to see into what was happening on EastEnders. But yeah, there's a sign there. I can't quite work out what it says, but yeah. Can we work out what that sign says there? Oh, can't see it in that shot. The sign's not there in that shot. But there's a sign that says BBC. BBC Elstree Centre. And you go in, and it's Albert Square. How cool is that? So if you want to walk down a little bit of Bridge Street, that little bit there, you can walk down, and that is the actual East End Bridge Street. That little bit there. Because it's that bit on the map there. I think it's so cool, that. but yeah, they've turned it all around. I don't know it well enough to know who lives in which house, but the sort of peak stall and that there, and I think one of these is the laundrette, isn't it? One of these two here. What is one the laundrette and one the? I thought the cat. One the laundrette and the cafe. Or is the cafe on the other side? Yeah, the cafe's on the other side. The cafe's on this side, because these are the tables that they have now outside the cafe, I think. So I think the cafe's here somewhere. But there it is, and then this is the set extension for the new set, and they don't ever seem to use this, but it's there if they wanted to use it. Well, you see, it goes nowhere. You see, fascinating, because it goes absolutely nowhere. You see, just disappears into nothingness. But yeah, but this, you see, is the Queen Vic. Yeah, and this is the gardens that Arthur Fowler used to look after, and that, and one of these is Dr. Legg's house from years ago, and the car lot, and stuff. But it's there. It is right there. Right in the middle of Boreham Wood, with houses all round it. You see, this is the real street here as well. Go down the end of this street here. You see, and there's like gardens here that don't seem to go anywhere. And these gardens look like public gardens, but I don't think you can go into them, because I think I've looked at this before, and there's a gate on them, look. So you can't get into them. Demolition in progress. But yeah. Up behind there is Albert Square. So there you go. That is EastEnders. If you want to know how far away it is, literally. It's there, and you come out of there. So if you came out of the other end of Bridge Street, which you can't do because there's a building in the way, you know, there's a building here, sort of thing. They've sort of built across it, but if you came out here and up Eldon Avenue, you come here to a McDonald's. Now this McDonald's here used to be a pub. Here, this McDonald's. So that roof there, that building there, that is the BBC Elstree Centre. If ever you've seen the Jerry Anderson series UFO, the opening titles of UFO, there's a very fancy futuristic car that goes sort of underneath and past a sort of skyscraper on stilts, a very 60s looking skyscraper. That is that 60s looking skyscraper from UFO, from when it was owned by ATV. This McDonald's used to be a pub, and they say that when they were making the Star Wars films and the Indiana Jones films, Harrison Ford was often missing from the set and could be found in this pub before it became a McDonald's. And I used to frequent this as a McDonald's, because I used to go down there to do Big Brother, and we used to go on air at like 10 o'clock at night, but they wanted us there at about 7:30 in the evening to go through what we were going to do. So I used to go down there. I'd arrive there about 6 o'clock-ish and go into this McDonald's and meet various other people that were going on with me that night in the McDonald's, and then literally come out of the car park, walk across the road here, and go into this building here. Where is it now? I'm looking. Oh, there's McDonald's. Walk across the road, and where the hell has it gone? It's behind these trees. Yeah, and go into this building here, which is Elstree Studios. And if I go that way a little bit, This thing here is what they call the White House. But if you were to walk down there, there's a fire lane there. This is Elstree. One of these stages here is stage 8, which at one point was Jabba the Hutt's palace in Star Wars. Another point, it was the flat in Not Going Out. But if you walk down there between that building and that building, you'll get to the Big Brother house. So that is Elstree, and the main entrance to it is there if you want to drive in, but we used to go in through this little snicket gate here, and there's a little security hut there that you had to report to. But that is it. So when, if ever you watch Star Wars and you think Yoda sounds like Fozzie Bear, that's because Frank Oz did both. And the reason Frank Oz did both is because he did Star Wars there, and then he did Fozzie Bear there. So Star Wars, Yoda, Fozzie Bear. Fozzie Bear, Yoda. That's how far he had to go between his two jobs. Less distance than walking to the station, which is here, and the gasworks, which were, I think the gasworks were there where that built new, somewhere there in that block there is where the gasworks were for all the buses. So there you go, there you have it. That is the story of what was where at Elstree Studios. I'd better catch up on the chat now, see what people have been saying. Arthur says about on the buses. It says the green buses look inside the cab of the red buses. Bill says, why is there a teddy on Google Earth? It's the little man that you drop to go into Google Street View, Bills. Arthur says George and Mildred started in '76, spin-off from Man About the House, as was Robin's Nest. Yeah, they were. Yeah, I saw Man About the House later, and didn't see it in first run. I saw Robin's Nest and George and Mildred in first run, but I saw Man About the House later. I think Channel 4 bought it and repeated it. Arthur quite rightly says Muppet Show was made across the road too at ATV Studios. Bill says brilliant. Plus Stacey's Babs van. Yeah, or Babs van even. Gambo says it had been noticed that the sun set differently from the old set. Had it? Oh, that's why, Gambo. Bill says Minimart is next to the laundrette. Yeah, that used to be the shop run by the Pakistani couple when it first started, didn't it? Bill says the gardens are part of the EastEnders set. The ones in the middle of the square, I'm not sure about the others though, Bills. Michael T says Kubrick used this place for 2001. Not quite, Michael. That was mainly done at MGM Elstree, which was another separate studios up the road, which has totally been flattened and turned into a housing estate now. But some of the sets on 2001, because it was such a massive production, some of the sets were at Elstree Film and Television, but most of it was at MGM Elstree, which unfortunately is no longer there at all. There's no trace of it. It's under a new housing estate. Dominic says there's a song by the Bugles called Bugles called Elstree. Yeah, I think there is. I think I've heard it. This song. Arthur says the Confessions films were filmed there too. Yes, they were. Down Shenny Road, which is like the high street through Boreham Wood. Yeah, Confessions of a Window Cleaner. He was cleaning windows on Shenny Road and that, yeah. All the Confessions series were done there. The Confessions films were Elstrie's answer to the Carry Ons, basically. They were a little bit more naughty than the Carry On films, though, some of them. But yeah. I put it on the other night. Beautiful film. What's a beautiful film? 2001 or Confessions of a Window Cleaner? I don't think you'll get those mixed up. I'm really annoyed about 2001 because when they got rid of a load of stuff. Basically all the models and that from 2001 were put into store after the film had been made. And after a while, the film company, it must have been MGM I guess, were no longer willing to pay the storage, so they had this storage unit cleared out and they were all dumped basically on a bit of wasteland in Boreham Wood. And there's a photograph that somebody took of the space station, you know, the space wheel thing, the half-built space wheel from 2001, just on a rubbish heap in Boreham Wood, and somebody took a photograph of it. Why did they not think to pick it up and put it in the back of their car? If they were thoughtful enough to take a photograph of it, you know, literally at their feet as they stood on this rubbish dump, why did they not think, oh, I'll just pick that up and put that in the car, for God's sake? That's what I'd have done. Arthur says that ex-pub, now McDonald's, was in the opening scenes to Confessions of a Pop Performer. Was it, Arthur? I don't think I've seen that one. I don't think I've seen Confessions of a Pop Performer. Michael T says, I've seen that pig. No, I don't think I've seen that one. I've seen Confessions of a Window Cleaner, and I think I've seen Confessions of a Driving Instructor, but I don't think I've seen Pop Performer. How many were there? There weren't as many as there were Carry Ons, were there? There weren't as many. But yeah. But it's a fascinating place. It's got such a lot of history. And the thing is, they don't celebrate it at all. There's a few plaques and things about that have been like put there by the local civic society and things. You know, there's a few plaques here and there. But you know that it'd be a really good place. They ought to get their heads together. BBC Elstree and Elstree Film and Television ought to get their heads together and every now and again do tours, because you could do both lots easily. You know, they're 5 minutes walk apart. It'd be a fascinating tour. It'd take all day to do, and you'd charge good money for it, and people would go on it. You know, just do it a couple of days a year for children in need or something. You know, loads of people. I'd go on it. I've been to it all and that, but I'd still go on the tour. Not been to Albert Square. I've never managed to wangle my way onto the set of Albert Square. I know people who have, but I've never managed to wangle me way into Albert Square. Michael says, I've seen that pic. Oh, he means the picture of the space wheel on the dump. The wheel sphere thing. Yeah. It seems to be a thing about these models that took hundreds or even thousands of hours to build. It seems to be a thing about them being dumped, because the Death Star from Star Wars, it's been found and restored now, but for ages it was sat outside an antique shop somewhere in the back and beyond in America, being used as a trash can, because the bit of the Death Star that's got the big sort of satellite dish thing set into it, that satellite dish thing was missing, and they were using that to put your rubbish in. You put your rubbish inside the Death Star. And it's only that somebody drove past this very back and beyond out of the way antique shop and realised the Death Star was outside it and thought, shit, that's the Death Star, and so went and I think they managed to purchase it and it's since been restored and now it's on display somewhere. I don't know where it is now, but I know it's been saved and restored, that. But the models from 2001 were not so lucky. There is one model from 2001 that survives, and that's because it was given to a local art college or something for the students to draw, and so that one survives, one of the smaller ships from 2001. But yeah, there's stuff. You see, it's just a movie to them, and at the time when the things are being made, nobody knows it's going to be a hit movie. You know, it could be a massive flop. So anything that takes any effort to store it at all, really, you know, it's all made out of like plywood and fiberglass and papier-mâché and cardboard. It's got no real value, so they just break it all up and chuck it in a skip. You know, they do it all the time, and they still do it. They still do it now. Fattlebit says, yes, I agree, they should have tours. You should do the tours, Andy. Yeah, but I can't get into the studios. This is the thing. You can only get into the studios if you're there on business, because you're taking part in a program, or you're making a program, or something like that. You can't just go in and walk around. You can't just say, oh, can I bring a dozen people around a week next Wednesday? They just won't entertain it at all. And the reason is that there's a lot, particularly with Elstree Film and Television, there's a lot of big Hollywood blockbusters being made there, and it's done in top secrecy, because they don't want anybody to know what another studio is making. You know, Paramount don't want Universal to know what they're working on, because if Universal find out that Paramount's making a science fiction film, then Universal will quickly make a science fiction film and bring them out together. That's why when you go to the cinema, you often find there's two films of the same genre that come out within weeks of each other. You know, there'll be a new Star Wars film, there'll be a new Star Trek film, because they're owned by different studios. You know, and they'll come out like a fortnight apart or something like that. You know, or there'll be a new Nightmare on Elm Street, and there'll be a new Friday the 13th or something like that. They go. I always used to call them partner films. I always used to call them partner movies, because one would probably not have been made had the other one not been made. and it's often very obvious that one has been made to copy the other. So they try and keep stuff secret. And I remember when I was there, doing Big Brother, and I was in one of the buildings. I think it was somewhere near that stage 8 that I showed you, and I was looking for a gents' toilet. I'd come out of wherever we were probably in a green room or something around there, and I come out looking for a gents' toilet, and I walk down this corridor, and I says to this chap, I says, can you tell where the gents is, please? And the bloke says, oh yeah, it's just down there. And as I said it to him, I heard this click, 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 click of heels coming down the corridor towards me, and it was one of the girls who used to look after us, one of the runner girls that used to look after us when we were there, and he said, Andy, come back, you shouldn't be out here. I said, well, I'm looking for the gents. I don't care what you're looking for, you shouldn't be out here. You certainly shouldn't be talking to people. I said, well, what? I only asked him where the gents was. He said, Andy, do you know who that was? And I said, no, it was some bloke that works here. I thought he might know where the gents. He said, Andy, that was Jude Law. Apparently it was Jude Law, and from what I've worked out since and worked out when it happened, I think he was there filming The Holiday with Cameron Diaz and Kate Winslet. And wouldn't you know, Jude Law, Cameron Diaz and Kate Winslet, and the one I bump into in a deserted corridor at Elstree Film and Television is bloody Jude Law. Just my luck. Right. Anyway, yeah, Fat Hobbit says I should do the tours. Yeah, I wonder if they'd let me in. If they'd let me in, I'd gladly go and do the tours for them. Arthur said they made 4 confessions films. Right, driving instructor, window cleaner, pop performer. What was the other one? Was it holiday camp? Was the other one on a holiday camp? Confessions of a holiday camp host or something like that. Because if it was, I think I've seen that one. Arthur says confessions of a window cleaner, confessions of a pop performer, confessions of a driving instructor, and finally confessions of a holiday camp in 1977. It was a holiday camp then. That's a rubbish film, that is. Confessions of a holiday. It really, they are. The confessions films are pale imitations of Carry On films, it has to be said. Quite interesting to watch now as a period piece in their own right, but not as funny as the Carry Ons, in my opinion. Yeah, but they should do tours, shouldn't they, of the studios and that. They should do tours, because there's various locations around the town that have been used for things as well. Over the years, I think there have been 5 or 6 different film and television studios, completely different organisations on completely different sites in Boreham Wood, and it's just that there's only 2 left now, but there have been 5 or 6 over the years. One was down near the gasworks there, down near the station. One of the very early ones was down there, which was a little bit closer to Elstree, so you can see why they might call it Elstree Studios. But yeah, it's a fascinating place, and it's weird because nobody bats an eyelid. If Harrison Ford walks down Shenley Road, nobody would bat an eyelid in Boreham Wood. Nobody would bat an eyelid at all. Anywhere else, everybody go, look, it's Han Solo walking down the road. Not in Boreham Wood. They don't even look up from the fish and chips in Boreham Wood. It's really strange. The only place where something happens is there's a restaurant on the opposite side of the road to the station, but down near the station, down the end of Shenley Road. The opposite side to Elstree Film and Television, the same side as BBC Elstree, but it's down the far end of the road near the station. There's a restaurant, and it's like 2, 3, maybe 4 shops put together. It's a big shop window in front, and you can see people eating the dinner and that in there. And if you go in and you stand in a restaurant and wait for them to give you a table, and they go, well, hello sir, and you go, hello, can I have a table for 2 please? And he goes, certainly sir, this way sir. And well, if he doesn't recognise you, he takes you to the back of the restaurant where the toilets are and that. But if he thinks he's seen you on the telly or in a film or something, he sits you in the window. And when we were doing Big Brother, I went in with a girl called Janin, who not Janine, she'll get pissed off if you call her Janine, Janin. I went in there with a girl called Janin that used to go on Big Brother quite regularly with me. There were 3 girls with black hair that used to appear on Big Brother with me, that used to sit at the side of me on Big Brother, and very few people know that they were actually 3 different people. They always say to me, who's the girl with black hair that always sits at the side of you? And I say, which one? And they go, what do you mean which one? I go, well, there's 3 of them that sort of go in rotation. there was Janin, Nadia and Narissa. And it was funny because Narissa was about 20 or 30 years older than the other 2. But nobody ever noticed. Anyway, I went in this restaurant with Janin, and I'd been in before, and you always sat you sort of somewhere down the back because you're a non-entity, aren't you? But this was in the middle of a series of Big Brother, and we've been going down and doing an episode of Big Brother's Big Mouth or Big Brother's Little Brother or something. We're doing one a week for 13 weeks, and I went in this particular day, and And said, "Table for two, please." "Certainly, sir." And he took us and sat us in the window. I wish I took a picture. I nearly went outside to take a picture of myself on the inside and sat in the window, because I thought, I've made it. I'm sat in the window of the restaurant in Boreham Wood. I've finally made the big time. But yeah, that's also the same side of the street where a little bit further up there's a bookshop where I know somebody who wrote a book, and he went there for a book signing and nobody wanted the book signing. Yeah, hilarious. I've got a copy of that book as well. Mine is signed, but it wasn't signed at that book signing. But yeah, there's all sorts of weird stuff. It's a very strange place, Boreham Wood. It's like reality skewed, and sort of famous people are normal in Boreham Wood, which means people who are not famous are in the minority. it's kind of weird, and you talk to people in Boreham Wood, and it always turns out that one of them, TV and film is the local industry. So whoever you talk to in Boreham Wood, either they or a family member have done something. So they either helped build the Overlook Hotel for The Shining, or they operated the radio-controlled R2-D2 on Star Wars, or they made coffee on the first day that EastEnders was filming, or they were a camera God, if you want a camera operator, just stand in the middle of Shenny Road and go, "Can anybody work a TV camera?" And then something about 300 people descend on you. But yeah, it's a very strange place. You walk down the street and there's like stormtroopers walking down the street, and Ewoks and that, and nobody bats an eyelid because it's common. It happens all the time in Boreham Wood. And R2-D2 going across the road to McDonald's to get a Big Mac and fries. Just happens. Yeah, it's a truly bizarre place. But what I like about Boreham Wood, and this is different to other TV studios and film studios and that, the people in Boreham Wood generally are very, very friendly, very, very funny, and very, very helpful. And there's a lot of brilliant people that work there. But then because we used to do that, and then you used to go into Television Centre to go and do something else, Wood Lane, and they were all very, in Television Centre, very up themselves at the Concrete Donut. In fact, so up themselves, I walked out of a recording once at the Concrete Donut. I could stand it no longer. Right, anyway, that, I'm afraid, is about it for us here for today. And we've gone on for a bit longer than I intended. We're going down this tangent of Elstree Film and Television. I do hope you've enjoyed it. Our little peek behind the curtain of EastEnders and that. And yeah, we will see you again very soon. As I said earlier, before some of you guys joined us, because I know some of you are on a bit late today, next week I am hoping next week, there's a slight chance it might be the week after, but I'm hoping next week we are going to be doing a special live episode at 2:30 in the afternoon or thereabouts, from Wales, with Andrew, with his amazing collection of telephones. So I'm hoping that we're going to be able to do that next week. If not, it might be the week after. But thanks very much for watching this episode, and indeed this series. As I said earlier, some of you may have missed it that came on a little bit later. I am going to be off now for the next few weeks, apart from that special next week, because I really do need to kind of recharge my batteries and think of some content and stuff that basically is escaping me at the moment. I need to catch up on a few off-air things. I've got a few chores and stuff to do and stuff, and like I say, I've got to go to the doctors and try and get myself sorted out and stuff. So I am hoping that we are going to be back towards the end of March with another run. So remember to click the like and the subscribe thing, and click that notification bell thing so you know when we're on as well. But I'm thinking towards the end of March we'll be back with a brand new run. But until then, remember there's a special next week, and if before the end of March I am feeling like making a few videos and stuff, we might do some more Escape the Sheds, as Dominic says there in the chat. So yeah, because I've got ideas for some, but basically I just don't get round to doing them. What we need to do, Dominic, we need to get you driving and get you over here to sort of give me a kick up the backside and get me motivated to go and do some more Escape the Sheds, because I've got ideas for at least 2 or 3 more that I'd like to do that are not a million miles away. They're a bit of a drive away, but not a million miles away. But there are some that I would like to do. I'd like to do one about the Sheffield Hooter, which is a thing in Sheffield City Centre that nobody believes you when I tell them. And I would also like to do one in the Peak District about Gibbet Rock. That would be a really, really good one for Halloween. Actually, that would be really good for Halloween. One for Gibbet, one about Gibbet Rock in the Peak District. I only learnt the story last summer, and it's a proper good spooky ghost story about a real place in the Peak District. So it's a really good one. That will make a fascinating Escape the Shed, I think that. I'd also like to do one from the Plague Village at Ian, which is a place I've been to a few times actually, and go and do that. But anyway, we will see where that all takes us. Dominic, I will be dropping you a line about a green telephone as well. That you sent me an email, didn't you, this last week? I will get round to replying to that, I promise you. It's just been an absolutely mad week this week, what with one thing or another. It really has. But for me, for now, have a fantastic week ahead. Hopefully we'll see you all next week. If we don't, we'll see you around about a month from now, towards the end of March, with a brand new run of Andy's Shed Live. But for me, for now, have a fantastic and safe week ahead. And if you happen to go anywhere near Elstree, I have to say one thing. See if you run into a girl called Natalie Jubb. Because without Natalie Jubb, I would have done none of the things in television that I've done. Because she was the person who found me standing in a queue once to go into an eviction show for Big Brother, and basically said, do you want to come and do this? And took me off, and that's where it all started. So I would not have been half the places that I've been and done half the things that I've done had it not been for the wonderful Natalie Jubb. So if you're out there, Natalie, I salute you for giving me so many opportunities over the years, and we will see you all very soon. But from me, for now,